Hello and welcome. This is Project Healing Waters, Fayetteville, North Carolina program. And the fly we're doing today is the Palimo Midge. Excuse me. Palimo Midge. The hook we're going to be using is a Daiichi Nymph wet hook, size 12. Body material we're using is Peacock Strung Herl. Tail we're using Olive Ultra Chenille, and for the back of it and for the head we're using Polypropylene yarn, color white. Okay, we're going to get the hook in the vise, and we can start right behind the eye of the hook. And secure it. And cut the tag, and we want to carry this all the way down to the bend of the hook. Next, what we want to do is we want to grab our olive chenille, and we want to pull the last fibers off here to expose the core, and then we're going to wrap it in a couple wraps just to secure it, and then we're going to move it around where we want it. And it didn't work. Okay. So essentially we just want it about going to the hook point. So we're just going to secure it, and we want to keep this on the shank so we can use it as the body as well, to thicken up the body of the fly. So I think that's about where I want to end it. Cut the remainder, and then we're going to just come back through and do some cross wraps to secure it and to get the fibers down. Now what we want to do is we kind of want this tail to be popping up. And as you can see, I left this a little long, and I don't want that. I don't want the core that long, so I'm just going to trim it up a little bit. There we go. But we want this tail to kind of point up. So what we want to do is we want to come behind and put some wraps behind it, and that will force the tail to point up like we want it. And that's the way I want it. Next, what we want to do is we want to come in with our Peacock Herl, and I'm using 3 strands. Come in and just wrap it in to make sure it's nice and secure. It'll go twist on you. And I'm using the tips of this and not to the core. So you need to be really careful with this because it's very, very brittle. Cut that remainder off. Make sure it's nice and tight. Then we're going to come back right where our chenille starts, and then we're going to come in with our poly yarn, and we're going to stick this in the back. And just get it to where you want it to go, and then just slowly bring it forward. If you go too fast, it makes a really big mess, and then you're having to trim a lot of the excess off. You can also grab it to get it to set down too, but we kind of want to make sure it's even on the body so trout will go after it. And I think that's pretty good. I think the Peacock Herl will get the rest of it down. So now what we want to do, once that's all secure and looks good, we want to grab our Peacock Herl and we want to wrap it around the shank of a hook. You want the fibers to be together. You can twist them, but you want to do touching wraps. And we want to bring this all the way to the front. And you can see how the fibers just bounce off of that shank. Take your time. This stuff is very brittle and will humble a seasoned tie flyer any day. So we're up at the front, so put in a couple wraps. There we go, we broke it. Okay, so now what we want to do is come back. We're going to grab 3 more strands. You see how brittle that stuff really is. And now we're just going to tie in 3 more, and hopefully we could salvage this without destroying the entire fly. There's 1, 2, and 3. Alright, so now let's get these guys even again to where we can tie it in. And it should be fine because these don't add too much body to the fly. So we're just going to tie it in, and now I'm going to come back and I'm going to remove these. And then we're going to go back and make sure it's nice and tight down, and then we're just going to bring the thread forward. So now we'll do it again. Touching wraps. I'm going to bring it forward. Make sure it's nice and even. Okay, I think that's where I want to stop with this. Get 1. Usually when you get 2 secure, then you can bring it in, and I'm going to put maybe 5 to 6 just to make sure. So now what we want to do is we can pretty much just snap those off, make sure it's looking good, making sure where we want it. Now what we want to do is we want to take the poly yarn and twist it as tight as we can, because we're going to bring it up the back. And what we want is we want it right over the eye of the hook, but not protruding the eye, just a little bit behind it, but we want it to be straight down the back, like so. There we go. And once you get 2 wraps in, you can secure it down and move it around a little bit, and then completely wrap it in. Now what we want to do is we want to come in front of it as well, because we want this sticking straight up. So if you just tug on it, it'll do so. Now what we want to do is we want to put our whip finish in before we lose our work. Again, we're going to be doing 2 sets of 4. See if I can manage to do that again. Okay. Let's make sure this is cooperating like we want it, and it looks like it is. Tighten our thread. And now what we want to do is kind of unwind this a little bit, make sure it's nice and buggy. And we want to come up about 1/4 inch, give it a nice little head. And this is our fly. If you have any comments, please leave them below, and we'll any questions, we'll answer them as quick as we can. Again, this is Project Healing Waters, Fayetteville, North Carolina program, and thank you for watching.